Today, I'm ranking VR cardio boxing workouts, but not just by vibes and sweat puddles. We're talking actual criteria here. Because if I'm going to put myself through hours of torture for you, my beautiful viewer, I want to know that I'm doing it for a good reason. Here's how this works. I've built a highly scientific, completely objective ranking system based on the following categories. The workout itself. Is it actually pushing you? Or are we just throwing our purse around like a cat playing with yarn? A proper VR boxing workout should help you get your heart rate up, muscles burning, and sweat flying. Bonus points if you feel like you survived the zombie apocalypse by the end. The coaches. Are they real? Are they just fitness models? Good coaching means clear cues, solid energy, and at least a hint that they've thrown a punch outside of a green screen. I want instruction, motivation, genuine personality, and maybe like a little bit of fear. The graphics and setting. Does the environment help you lock in? Or are you boxing in a digital broom closet? The world around you should still pull you in, not remind you that you're standing in your living room next to that dying plant you swore you'd water this time. The music. If the music doesn't slap, we've got a problem. It should match the workout, drive the pace, and keep you in rhythm. If it sounds like background music from a corporate training video, no thanks, I'm out. The mechanics. Do punches register cleanly? Is the system fair and intuitive? If I land a solid uppercut and the game tells me I missed, will I personally uninstall it mid-set? It doesn't need to be like hyper-realistic, but it needs to make sense. Variety. Jab cross combos are great until you've done them for like 7 minutes straight. Give me uppercuts, hooks, slips, squats. Make it feel like an actual workout, not a broken record. Keep my brain and body guessing. The choreography. Are the combos thoughtfully built? Do they match the music? Does it flow, or does it just feel like a toddler mashed the buttons on the workout editor? When it clicks, it's magic. When it doesn't, it's just annoying. As far as grading goes, each category is going to be scored from 1 to 10, with 1 being absolute trash, the kind of experience that should be tied to a tree and burned with lit cigarettes, and 10 being the best there is, the best there was,
and the best there ever will be.
Important note, this list is specifically for apps with live style coaching. That means like no AI ghost fights, no solo training apps, no shadowboxing with a hologram of your former self for those nerds you met online. While yes, Thrill of the Fight is an absolute beast, and yes, Power Beats VR makes me question my cardio sometimes, we're saving those for another video. This one's about the kind of boxing workouts that aim to replicate a true fitness class experience, complete with coaching, choreography, and ideally a whole lot of calories burned. So lace up your virtual gloves, take a sip of that imaginary pre-workout, and let's rank some games. Supernatural. Now the workout, I did the pros only workout here, and while fairly tough in Supernatural, pros only is the toughest of the tough workouts. So when I did this, I definitely felt the burn. The cardio is top notch. The workout on Supernatural cardio boxing is a solid 8 out of 10. Now with the coaches, there are a few mixed feelings. Some people think they're overhyped, but in reality, they're not. They're actually pretty good. They can be a little long-winded and talk about some things maybe you don't want to hear about, but overall, I like the coaches from Supernatural. There are other apps that have better coaches, which we're going to talk about later, but in this instance, I give Supernatural coaches, especially since there are more than just 1 or 2 of them, a solid 8 out of 10. Now, the graphics and settings. Supernatural's graphics, you just can't go wrong. The clarity of the coaches, the beauty of the backgrounds, they're all very, very gorgeous. I think out of all the workout apps, both today and otherwise, these are the most beautiful places and sceneries to work out to, so I give the graphics and settings a solid 10 out of 10. The music. Well, the music is good. It's not really meant for workouts, more for familiarity, if that makes sense. For example, there's going to be a lot of music that you probably haven't heard of. Maybe you're not into K-pop, or maybe you're not into classical music. I still recommend you try them regardless. You might find something you like. Overall, the music is recognizable and fits the workout, so 9 out of 10. Mechanics. The mechanics of Supernatural are pretty solid. Punches feel like they connect. I never feel like I'm cheated out of the targets. The slips, the ducks, the rolls, everything works great. Occasionally you'll get a workout that has knees in them, which in my opinion are pretty stupid, but it has changing levels. It moves you in 360 degrees, which is awesome, except for me when I'm filming and I punch my green screen, but that's neither here nor there. The mechanics is an easy 9 out of 10. They could definitely add a few things to make it better, which leads me into variety. Now, the variety of punches in Supernatural is actually fairly limited. They change the locations of the target quite a bit and have you throwing body shots, but overall you're left with hooks, jabs, crosses, uppercuts, slips, rolls, dodges, and the occasional knee. It could benefit from a few different non-boxing things. I don't think anyone playing this is like a boxing purist who must have specific punch types. If they added more, you'd get more out of it, so I'm going to give variety a 7 out of 10. Choreography for Supernatural has always been pretty solid. A lot of times, though, you're going to hear recycled songs and notice recycled choreography, which can be a bummer if you're looking for new workouts every single time. Overall, I think the boxing choreography is not bad. It's not as good as it could be, but I think they make it work. Final score for Supernatural, 8.4 out of 10. Great fitness application, but definitely room to grow if they ever listen to people who are asking for things. Nobody wants to work out in multiplayer. Sorry, just stop adding stupid shit. So let's move on to an old standby of mine, FitXR. They've changed a lot since their humble beginnings as Box VR on Steam and have gone through many iterations. It had been a couple months since I played it, and I could already tell it's changed. Again. Now the workouts themselves for FitXR boxing are actually pretty boring. I'm not saying they're bad. I personally just find them fairly dull. The combos aren't great, and they're very repetitive. That said, the workout itself does get your heart rate fairly high, so I can't argue with the effectiveness. My opinion of if it's boring or not might be different than yours, but for me, I give it a 8 out of 10. It's pretty solid, if not a little boring. The coaches are meh. A lot of the comments sound like they're canned voices they probably have in a database somewhere. It doesn't feel like the coaches are like doing the workouts or have ever done the workouts. Nothing feels personalized or novel. I do enjoy the fact that they feature people of different body types and abilities, some heavier, some without a leg, some are differently abled. That's cool, and they deserve credit for visibility, but at the end of the day, I'm not here for visibility, I'm here to get a workout, so I give it a 6 out of 10 in the coaching department. Now with the graphics and settings, the graphics and settings are pretty basic and bare bones. FitXR hasn't evolved much in this area in the last few years. It's the same studios with occasional themes for like Christmas or Pride Month, which weirdly upsets people. Like, I could care less about themes, but the environments just haven't improved much. Nothing feels legitimate or immersive. It all feels computer generated and kind of boring, so 5 out of 10. The music is fine. Again, a little boring. They do have some big name artists, but most of the tracks are forgettable. Occasionally you'll get a song that fits the workout well, but it's rare. Most of it just kind of fades in the background, so again, 5 out of 10. The mechanics are straightforward, however, punches feel soft. You don't really get much of an oomph or an impact when you hit the targets. All the targets come down the same center line. Somehow the target feedback feels worse than it used to. Everything just feels dimmer and more muted. I don't think it's just my glaucoma talking here. It's like they dialed back the hue for no reason. It still works though, so like 6 out of 10. In terms of variety, FitXR is really lacking in the cardio boxing department. They shine more in their combat series, which honestly, I almost reviewed instead, but since this is a cardio boxing review, I stuck with it. The movements are just jab, cross, hook, uppercut, slip, dodge. There's not much else. It gets pretty dull. They rely heavily on volume, like just a lot of jab, cross in one spot, which again is boring. 5 out of 10. The choreography, this is where FitXR really tanks. Choreography is repetitive, again, boring, and I often find myself checking the clock wondering when it's going to end. Like I mentioned before, they rely too much on simple repetition to raise your heart rate. It works, it's just not fun. This brings the final score for FitXR cardio boxing to a 5.3 out of 10. It feels like it's fallen by the wayside while they shift focus to other workouts. The app itself is not bad, but this part of it, pretty dull. Check out their combat workouts instead, those are way better. Now let's jump right into Mills BodyCombat. When this first came out, it kind of rocked the VR fitness scene a few years ago, and now it's time to find out if it still holds water in 2025. The workouts for Mills are fairly solid. I like their variety of punches. They go beyond just traditional ones. They even add knees, battle ropes, sky punches, side punches. The point is, you get a full range of motion. The boxing is fun and it builds from the basics, increasing the speed and power as it goes along so you don't feel lost in the sauce right out of the gate like some apps tend to do. The workout for Les Mills is top notch and definitely deserves a 10 out of 10. Now, the coaches in Les Mills BodyCombat, I think, is somewhere between cringy and just okay. As with most Les Mills stuff, they're a New Zealand company that prides itself on kind of goofy, sort of silly coaching that doesn't take itself too seriously. Over the years, I think fitness coaching has evolved. I do enjoy a good silly coach, but I sometimes think they can be a little over the top, and while I'm working out, that can be a little distracting. I want to like the coaches more than I actually do, so I'm going to give the coaching a 7 out of 10. I can see why people would like them, but I personally am not a huge fan. I also don't hate them. Now, the graphics and settings have come a long way since the days of being stuck in a digital cave with a sunroof. I think they've taken hints from user feedback, people wanting different places to work out, and it shows. I like the setting and the graphics in Les Mills BodyCombat, so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's nice to look at. Now, the music I would say in Les Mills, it's pretty boring, but I also don't think they rely heavily on the music in their application. The trainers rarely stop talking, so I do believe music is secondary, if not tertiary, to the overall experience. It fits the beat, it's fine, but it's pretty dull. The coaches will often reference the song titles while they coach, but it's mostly background noise. I give it a 5 out of 10. Mechanics. Now take this for what it's worth. I feel like Les Mills BodyCombat mechanics have changed over the years. I could be wrong, but in this particular workout, I was struggling to land punches, and I can't figure out why. I also know a lot of people struggle to land the knees, like the knee smash things. I have no struggles with any other fitness applications, and I usually score pretty high in the accuracy department. And that's not like a flex or a brag or anything. I'm just saying, like, when I play this, for some reason, I come in dead last in the workout, and I could not land left hooks to save my life. Now, I noticed after I hit like a 50 punch streak and my hands started glowing, I would just miss automatically. And I'm not sure if other people have this issue, but I certainly did. And it really ruined the workout for me. I'm giving the mechanics a 4 out of 10. You can call me a talentless hack all you want, but I've been doing VR workouts a long time, and this felt like one of the worst as far as mainstream app mechanics that I've used in quite some time. The variety of punches here is pretty great. Like I mentioned earlier, you're going to see things like sky punches, side punches, knees, and I really think they take the time to hone in on variety. Not much else to say here. I think it's solid 9 out of 10. The choreography in Les Mills BodyCombat is solid, if not slightly boring, but they really lean into the idea of learning the choreography and the combos as you go. And I can't fault them for that. It's different than how other apps do it, and it seems to work for them. You start by learning basic combos, then they kind of turn up the volume on those combos, and one flows into the next. You always do it on the other side too, so despite being somewhat dull, it's still strong choreography. I give it an 8 out of 10. And my final score for Les Mills BodyCombat is a 7.3 out of 10, which I think is fitting for where it is in 2025. It hasn't evolved too much since it came out, which is both a detriment and a win for some people. Depending on what you're looking for, this may not matter. I think 7.3 out of 10 is fair and reasonable for Les Mills BodyCombat. Now let's move on to LiteSport, formerly known as LiteBoxer. Now, if you followed my channel over the last few years, you'd know that LiteBoxer has become my frenemy in the world of VR fitness. They do a lot of great things with other types of workouts like weightlifting, sparring, and punch tracks. It's a solid application, but today we're not looking at those things. We're looking at the coached boxing workouts. The workout itself is actually pretty bad. There's a lot of pauses and a lot of listening to the coaches talk. And for me, that's not always a good thing. It slows down the workout. Rather than learning as I go, I have to listen to the trainer talk me through it, and then I do it. When I looked at my heart rate data, it was the lowest of the whole group. Again, I'm not shitting on the entire LiteSport application. I'm just saying this version of their workout isn't great. It deserves a 3 out of 10. Like, maybe less, but 3 out of 10 I think is generous. The coaches on LiteSport are actually some of the cringier ones out there. There were times when I was watching the girl whose name I'm forgetting that made me physically uncomfortable with how cornball and weird her behavior was.
To the ring, it's your trainer Jill, and today we have a 15-minute trainer-led class going into that fighter stance.
A lot of people might like this kind of coaching, but I'm not one of them. I'm all for motivation, but this kind of performance just rubs me the wrong way. It feels like they constantly need to be talking, not just about the workout, but trying to give me life lessons, and you're like 22, and like it just felt canned and uninspired. I like that she wasn't just a like a coat hanger of a fitness trainer. She has like a real body, but needless to say, I didn't like her coaching. It was really hard to listen to sometimes, so I give it a 2 out of 10. You know, there are other coaches, I'm gonna be honest, they're not much better. The graphics and settings of LiteSport have evolved beyond the old green and black gym, but I don't know if that's for the better. It's like, so now I've got a low-res coach standing directly behind the punching shield, and they've added some supernatural-esque backgrounds that don't quite fit. Like, I commend them for evolving, but the visual design, especially with the low-res coaches, just doesn't look good. 4 out of 10. I don't want to talk about it anymore. The music itself is pretty solid. They have a lot of tracks you've probably heard of from artists that you possibly like. That said, you're gonna have the coaches talking over them the entire time, so whether or not you get to enjoy it is debatable. I like the music, but I'm not sure it fits the impact of the workout. It definitely fits the rhythm, but there's like a disconnect somewhere that I'm not seeing. 7 out of 10. Like, and that's generous. Mechanics. The mechanics are pretty straightforward. Occasionally I miss a punch, but it's nowhere near as bad as Les Mills, where I was missing punches constantly for no reason. I own an actual physical light boxer shield as well, and I noticed that they've removed the bottom punching button and replaced it with the uppercut pad. Punches register, but they don't feel impactful, and they've added color changes when your streak is up, which is fun, but overall it's just fine. It's like a C, a 7 out of 10. Now, as far as variety goes, LiteSport really falls short here. The shield can only accommodate so many types of punches. So all you're really left with is jabs, crosses, 2 types of uppercuts, and make-believe slips and dodges that you kind of have to mimic from the coach. The variety is one of the lowest of the apps I'm reviewing today, so I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. Now, the choreography is fine, but again, it's hampered by the lack of punch types, and they seem to want to rely on the coach's personality to make it fun, which for me doesn't make it fun. It makes it like 10 times worse. And these coaches make me want to throw my headset on the ground and bash it with a hammer. It's middle of the road boxing that doesn't even have hooks. So what can you really say? The choreography is fine, but nothing special. 4 out of 10. Final score for LiteSport coached boxing is 4.3 out of 10, but please note the LiteSport application itself is actually really good, and it has a lot of features that make fitness fun, like punch tracks with no coaches, oh thank God, HIIT workouts, and even weightlifting. So while the coached boxing workouts are not great, in fact they're bad, they're really bad, the rest of the app is solid, so take what you will from this little short review of it. Up next is Rumble Boxing, an app I didn't even know existed until right before trying it. It totally snuck under my radar, but it meets all the criteria for a coached boxing workout, so here we are. The workout caught me off guard with how intense it was. It doesn't follow the same model as other cardio boxing workouts where you punch along to a track. Instead, the trainer gives you a combo and you execute it as many times as you want within this little time frame with as much intensity as you want. They do that in the real person class. And this was confusing at first since nothing was labeled as beginner, intermediate, or advanced. But once I started, I realized I could just adjust the intensity of myself. And it turned out to be one of the better workouts I did that day. So like 9 out of 10, solid workout. Rumble Boxing coaches are a different breed. They lean hard into aesthetics and personality. They want like a gritty, rough, motivating street boxer, but also really amazing genetics and just like chiseled from friggin' wood.
We're gonna push out anything that we're feeling that may be holding us back in life. Get rid of it.
They rely heavily on the star power of their coaches wherever you go. The coach I had today didn't feel quite like the Rumble instructors I've seen in person, but she was fine. She was fit. She looked like a normal person. She had some good energy. Her coaching was limited, but fit the Rumble dynamic, in my opinion. Like, she seemed a little out of her element, probably because the in-person experience is very different. Still, she got the job done and wasn't annoying, so I give her a 7 out of 10. Graphics and settings. It's a digital version of the Rumble Boxing Studio with benches on one side and water bags on the other. It's a lot brighter than the real studio and a lot less exciting. In person, the vibe is like a high-end nightclub gym with digital walls and lighting effect. This version feels like someone built it like super fast in Unity. 4 out of 10, and that's generous. The music was fine. Honestly, I didn't pay much attention to it, and now that I'm thinking about it, I don't really remember a single track, which tells you about how exciting it was. Probably songs I've heard before, but they didn't leave an impression. Since the workout doesn't follow a beat, music takes a backseat anyway, so 6 out of 10. Mechanics. The mechanics are good. You've got basic punches, jab, cross, hook, hook, uppercut, uppercut. There are small target windows on the bag, which is a little odd since you're punching a heavy bag and it shouldn't really matter that much where I hit it. My left hook had some trouble registering, but you really have to like turn it over. Other than that, it worked fine. 7 out of 10. Variety is pretty basic. There's only so much you can do with heavy bags. You know, all combos are limited, and the way they're tracked is a little weird. So, like, if you miss a punch, it doesn't reset or track the combo well. Occasionally, you'll get longer combos, which take a second to memorize, but overall, there's not much variety, so 4 out of 10. Choreography, not much here. It's just the coach calling out combos and you execute them. That's fine and it fits the workout, but to call it choreography is a bit generous. For what it is, though, it works. 7 out of 10. Final score for Rumble Boxing, 6.3 out of 10. Please note this is my first time playing Rumble Boxing in the VR space, and while I don't have a ton of experience with it, I can say this. The cardio boxing workout is probably not the main focus of this app. Check out the link above for a full review when I do cover everything Rumble has to offer. Finally, we come to one of my go-to fitness applications lately in VR. FunFitLand. Now remember, they do have other workouts in their program like dance, and I imagine they'll be adding more soon, but for this review, we're focusing strictly on their combat workout, which is as close to cardio boxing as you're gonna get. Now, when you do the workouts in FunFitLand, it feels like a curated experience that actually pushes you to your limits. This game isn't afraid to throw in random movements. It's not just boxing, but battle roping, and all sorts of things similar to what Les Mills does, but somehow they managed to do it better. And the workout itself is killer. If you haven't played FunFitLand, you're missing out. It's solid 9 out of 10. As of right now, there's only one cardio boxing coach in FunFitLand, but I'm okay with that because he's one of the better coaches out there. He's excited to be there, coaches you through the workouts, talks about the workout theme without being corny, and basically feels like a walking, talking, positive affirmation. Not only that, but he is the handsomest man that I've ever seen and has the body of a Greek god that I would strangle 100 orangutans to get. If you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you know I have a bit of a man crush on Coach Mike. He's truly the best out there. That said, I'm going to ding FunFitLand slightly because if you don't like him, you're kind of out of luck. And there's no variety in the coaching yet. So I get why they're not in a rush to add more, but I really think they should. So I'm giving it an 8 out of 10, only because there's just one coach, even if he is the gold standard. Sorry, Mike. Sorry. Can we still be friends? Graphics and settings are up there with Supernatural. Very pretty, very immersive, and even like thematically tailored to the workouts. The coaching aligns with the environment to create a full-blown experience every single time. I love the way they theme everything and how they cleverly inject their cornball name FunFitLand into the different scenarios without it being distracting or stupid. Honestly, it's on par with Supernatural. The settings mean something, they fit the tone, and the punching targets are some of the best I've seen. Like 9 out of 10. Only a few things keep it from being a 10 out of 10. For music, some people may disagree with me here. You might want to work out to Limp Bizkit or Beyonce. That's cool. But FunFitLand doesn't use music you've heard of before, and in my opinion, they fit the workouts better than most licensed music ever could. I hesitate to say I like this better than music I already know, but I kind of do. The songs are built for the workout. They match the theme, the pace, the energy, and some of them hit really hard, like the Valkyrie workout. And if you haven't tried, I think it's called Beast Part 2 or Waken the Beast, I forget, like Let Out the Beast Part 2.
Core stays tight as you dip around and back.
That one is a full-on experience. Music is easily a 10 out of 10. Like you don't even need licensed tracks for this. It's solid 10 out of 10. Trust me on this one. The mechanics in FunFitLand are very intuitive and feel really good. Punches connect with satisfying impact, and the non-boxing movements feel natural too. The exploding targets, the response time, the visual feedback, everything feels refined. It's easily one of the best punching mechanics in VR fitness to date, and I honestly struggle of what they could do to improve it. 10 out of 10. Hands down. The variety is top notch. The workouts feel fresh even when you repeat them because there are so many movement types and thematic changes. Each workout feels like its own experience, not just a repackaged set list of punches. There's so much going on, I can't even list all the movements. You have to just play it to get it. There's nothing else quite like it in VR cardio boxing. Easily 10 out of 10. Now, choreography is where FunFitLand really shines. Yes, it looks like a supernatural knockoff at first glance, but if you actually play it, you realize it's so much more. Take something like the Enter the Beast one, I forgot the name of it. It's one of the best pieces of choreography I've ever seen in VR fitness to this date. It's not just a good workout, it's a work of art. It can be emotional without being sappy. You walk away from it feeling not just physically accomplished, but mentally and maybe even spiritually uplifted. Whoever's designing these workouts knows exactly what they're doing, and it's definitely not like an AI generated thing. It's a 10 out of 10. Final score for FunFitLand, 9.4 out of 10. This, in my opinion, is the #1 ranked cardio boxing workout on this list. If you've never played FunFitLand, I highly recommend checking it out. Let me know what you think. Thanks for hanging out with me in this video. I know it was a lot longer than usual, but I appreciate you sticking with it. Did I miss anything? Is there a workout that you love that I forgot to include? Drop it in the comments. Just remember, I am a human. Be nice to me. You know I respond to all the comments. My name is Ari with FitPro VR. Don't forget to get your workout in today.